Good morning, everyone. Happy day. Alright, so today we're going to make some buffalo chicken wings. Just gonna cut it. Be. Good morning, good morning.
So this week, Domino's large two-topping pizzas are just $6.99 each.
Spy Crab risks all by taking a closer look. It's wise to be cautious. For this creature in hiding has deadly power. It's a peacock mantis shrimp. Despite its size, it packs a killer
Hello, what are you
punch.
making? I am gonna make some buffalo chicken wings.
This was just a warning. The nest's still back. Fortunately, the mantis has a job to do. A spot of house plant. His next task is to find food. While he's away, his lifelong partner guards the
Bye. Have
nest.
a good day.
She's carrying their head.
You too. Thank you so much.
So it's up to her to bring more meal.
I'm gonna need some cornstarch.
Spy Crab will join him to find out how he catches it. The mantis hunts with cunning and initiative. He uses a coral as cover to stage an ambush.
I'm gonna make buffalo chicken wings. I have all my wings.
By the most complex eyes of any creature. They see colors invisible to most other life. They even move independently, useful for targeting prey. He aims to take it by surprise.
Put some
Our
salt.
spy moves in for a closer angle. forced 1,700 times his weight. Even the local seamen dressed. With his victim out cold, he carries it home.
This is too close to my face.
Spy crab dares to move closer. It's a meal that will last them for days.
I thought he was going to die. I thought he was going to finish up there because I think he's been stung with a dangerous thing with that, you know, in his head. When he was cut, when he stung down here, then he got hit by it.
In the morning, it is the plastic run. Ghost nets and plastics are collected on each beach and destroyed. It is the best the sea rangers can do. The problem is so vast.
Well, there you go. We've walked along a couple of metres, and here it is, all the rubbish. You'd be surprised what collects on the beaches here, especially you know, we're in a extremely but still all this rubbish, and the rubbish drifts in the current. That's the best they can do to keep these pristine beaches clear of all this rubbish.
Transporting the waste back is not an option in these remote areas.
You know, the worst part about these nets is they just burn into a big pile of oozy muck. At least they can't do it out. Really static.
Ghost nets entangle the fishing reefs, killing sea life. We do the fire dance dance, a bit of a local custom.
Do you see that number there, Captain?
This plastic run is repeated at each beach campsite. Marcus gives me a spearing lesson with the throwing stick, a bit of jumping.
Is this one for power or distance?
These are the fish.
More penetration.
If you're here,
Yeah.
spread like that.
Yeah.
So the eyes here and here,
Yeah.
the spot between the eye,
Between the eyes.
yeah, and outside of the area of the liver.
As well as the best place to spear the rays. He also runs through what stingrays to hunt and which to stay away from.
The ones that we will be hunting is what we call lava, the brown plastic stingray.
Yeah.
Big one, can grow pretty large, but we get the medium size. And the half power, we call white big. They're the ones in season. That's got blue spot, that's normal. We call that the minimum. So when you get it down, and make sure you watch where the tail is.
Yeah.
Alright?
Wow.
So we can take home, give you a mop, you know? Give me land and like that.
Yeah. Use the name.
Yeah, you'll be, you'll be,
Yucca.
you'll be saying, yaka.
Yucca!
The most dangerous has a local antidote, a beach cockroach.
Use boiling hot water.
Little bit, not little like black cockroach.
Yeah.
Push it, put it in there. And I cover it.
Thank you.
Now that little chap is chilling, considering what happens in the next 2 days. We move to camp 2 in the side of a hidden coast watch station. A sole man was stationed here for years, radioing in any sightings of aircraft or shipping. We have an area to search that was the location of the radio hub.
That looks like it there, mate. Look at that. Yeah, that's it. That's it for sure. That's it. Yeah, well, apparently, so he lived in this humpy, right? And this was right where the tower sat. Remember, you know, we're not talking some big tower. No, it's like a little frame, yeah. And that looks like one of the blocks that it was attached to. There's another one right there. There's no one over there. No, I'll put the dirt. Oh. There you go, boy. There it is. Look at that. There you go. That's going to be it. The shell. Now this bit of copper wire here is one of the clues in this whole story. It's like a piece of the puzzle. And it starts here at Jensen Bay. Now the bay was named after a guy by the name of Mad Jack Jensen. Now he was a coast watcher. Now back in around 1935, what they did was they set up all these stations around the top end of Australia to keep an eye on the coastline. They were coast watchers, and they were individual people that manned these remote outstations. Now this one here, which we found, is where old Mad Jack spent a lot of time, and his job was to report any suspicious anomalies or you know, anything that looked out of sorts that they would report back to a base in Darwin. Now, here's the thing. In 1943, once war had broken out, they decided that they were going to come here and put a radar station. Now, a guy by the name of Wyndham, he rocked up here, and basically, with the help of Mad Jack Jensen, they decided to scope the area out and put a radar station here on the Western Islands. Now, the radar station was designed to detect any enemy aircraft coming in from across from New Guinea because the Japanese were advancing on Australia. Now, the radar station has never been found. To this day, it has never been found. And there's this dodgy old map that was put together by Wyndham, and basically, we're going to try and find it. How you going over there, boy?
We're finding an absolute plethora of different bits and pieces.
Wow, I'm going to have a look.
There you go. That's just something there.
Bullet.
Yeah, that's an old bullet.
That is not
That's an old bullet.
That's not the bullet from the shell.
That's a big, that old one now.
Tomorrow, when we get up tomorrow, we run out of daylight now, we'll resume the search, mate. I'll tell you what, it's pretty good.
We're finding stuff.
Very exciting.
G'day guys, today's video is brought to you by Canvas 4x4 tyre deflators, the Boss Airs. Now, these are a cool little product. They're Australia's #1 selling tyre deflators.
To take video of our project painting. And some ideas from my grandfather.
Very thin island. Be real careful in there.
There's crocodiles over here. This is perfect for the crocs actually. All these crocs that are going through the ocean, they'll be popping in here.
If you see the slides on the beach, heading in this way up through the bush.
They'll even be nesting in here. I'm gonna muck around in that water. I know what the crocs are like. They can eat you guys first.
Oh, warm jet snap. Be really that shit too. This is the whole reason why this camp here in Jensen Bay was established. And it's the whole reason why thousands of years the indigenous made this their home. Hell, this would be the first place I'd be coming. And purely and simply because of this water. This island is barely 4 kilometres wide at this point, yet there's like a kilometre of water here. Not many people have been to this place, and it's a real privilege to be here. And it's a real privilege to be here and be invited by the traditional owners to come here.
Near main camp, we stopped for a quick spear. The bay is alive with rays and sharks. I pick up a ray, but it's the dangerous one. GUR, or blue spot. I was warned about it, and then in a split second, my day goes bad quick. The ray hits me straight through the knuckle. I know I'm in trouble, but I'm not sure how much. Ah, you're kidding me! I remember Marcus's warning days before, and also the local antidote to the poison. Oh, stingray nailed me. I head for the dunes. The black cockroach is what I need fast. Boom.
The stingray. Looking for a black beetle. Ready? No. There, out there.
He forgot about the parrot and how deadly that stingray can be. And I warned him about it back at the beach. That's that one's for little. And that's the one you don't eat. And that's the one that's known as the most poisonous out of all. Okay, that one.
There's another one just under there, Jesse. You can call them there. Back for a couple more.
Is that one straight in? Is it on the first page now?
What is that?
You can,
Put them on the bar.
can get rid of that because it's gone under Mr. Skin.
Give it that.
Yeah, no, you gotta go back to the base camp and get some treatment. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let me do a big hit to the left of the hero. That's alright, not your fault, my fault.
Marcus keeps telling me I'm in big trouble.
When I saw him get stung by it, I thought he was gonna die. I thought he was gonna finish up there because I think he's been stung by a dangerous stingray that we don't even eat, we don't even touch. We just don't go near it and he got hit by it.
At this stage, I don't feel too bad. Apart from the serious pain, I head back to main camp and tell the guys all to keep fishing.
Yo, look, here's the hook.
Hey there.
Here's the cake. They're not that easy. I speak to a lot of people. I speak to the country. I speak to the federal land. I speak to the water, the ocean. This is what I want. Not what I want. This is what we need. I don't really need to eat. And when we're out there and we're doing the chance, well, you got another one? What? What's up? Coconut, black lip stingray. Marcus, two. Me, none. What we got there? Marcus is cleaning up. He's a master. Alright,
How did you show it off, buddy?
new legend.
There he did show it off.
What would you do?
You're not good. Can you just go invade it? It's like it really helps with the pain. It's really hot. It's like it's like just a little bit. Well, you know what I'm saying? This cool. It's a little bad. You can't be like that. No, so I'm water. That's so good. It's going in the top out. Go back and tell you what top out. Is it got? Too many. Chase is finally looking better. Now that's what I'm going to take it to go down, but the actual casting them down is sort of hammering me. It was a bit touch and go there because I've never sort of had that big a reaction to it. Probably was, you know, under a pale on the face and my mouth went dry and I had a tingling sensation come up through my arm and across my chest. And in through my lips, and it was actually, I could feel it on this arm as well. I don't really know what was going on there. Actually, it doesn't in there. Jason's laid a plot on Northern X-ray, but I don't want to see that. But hey, next time I'm as crook as a dog, this spot will do me just fine.
Best are leaving their blood, sweat, and tears in Milan.
For decades, Saddam Hussein had ruled with fear. But now the man who once stood untouchable was locked in a small guarded cell. Cameras would capture every moment. Millions would watch as Iraq's dictator faced the same fate he had given so many. 24 years, Saddam Hussein controlled Iraq in a way that left no room for opposition. From the moment he took power on July 16, 1979, his presence was impossible to escape. His portraits hung in classrooms, offices, and streets. His speeches filled the airwaves. People were taught to praise him, and many were too afraid not to. Under his rule, anyone who spoke against him risked prison, torture, or death. Families of those accused could also be punished, disappearing without a trace. He had survived wars with neighboring countries, crushing uprisings, and years of strict economic sanctions from the outside world. His security forces were loyal, and his network of spies reached into every neighborhood. To many Iraqis, the idea of him being overthrown seemed impossible. But in 2003, everything changed. The United States and its allies invaded Iraq, accusing Saddam of hiding dangerous weapons and supporting terrorism. The invasion was swift and relentless. American warplanes pounded Iraqi defenses. Missiles lit up the night sky over Baghdad, and the sound of explosions became constant. Iraqi forces tried to fight back, but they were no match for the overwhelming firepower. City after city fell. By early April, the road to the capital was open. On April 9th, American tanks rolled into Baghdad. The streets were filled with chaos. Some people hid in fear. Others came to watch. That same day, in Firgo Square, one of the most symbolic moments of the war unfolded. U.S. troops, helped by cheering Iraqis, pulled down a massive statue of Saddam. Its face, once towering over the city, crashed to the ground. Crowds stomped on it, some hitting it with shoes, which is a deep sign of disrespect in the Arab world. In just days, his powerful government collapsed. The ministries were empty, soldiers deserted their posts, and looters tore through government buildings. The man who had ruled Iraq for more than 2 decades vanished into the shadows. For months, he was nowhere to be found. The U.S. military poured enormous resources into finding him, launching one of the biggest manhunts the world had ever seen. They called it Operation Red Dawn, named after a 1984 movie about a surprise attack on America. But this was no small mission. Thousands of troops were involved, supported by helicopters buzzing overhead, armored vehicles rumbling through villages, and intelligence teams working around the clock. Every possible lead was chased down. If someone whispered that Saddam had been seen in a village, soldiers were there within hours. If a safe house was suspected, it was raided immediately. His closest aides, relatives, and bodyguards became targets. One by one, they were tracked down, arrested, and interrogated. Each capture brought the Americans closer to Saddam. U.S. soldiers carried a special deck of cards with photos of the most wanted figures from Saddam's regime. Saddam himself was the ace of spades, the card everyone wanted to hold. As the months passed, Saddam's world shrank. The hiding places grew fewer. The Americans kept pressing hard, searching the desert, combing through farms, and questioning anyone who might know something. They studied his habits and his past, figuring out where a man like him might seek shelter. By late 2003, the trail led to a rural area close to his hometown of Kafid, a place with many loyal supporters. On the night of December 13, 2003, soldiers from the 4th Infantry Division and U.S. Special Forces closed in on a small farmhouse in the village of Ad-Dawah. The area was quiet, surrounded by date palm groves and farmland. During the search, they discovered a strange patch of dirt covered with debris. When they cleared it away, they found a narrow opening. It was a spider hole, a tiny underground space barely big enough for a person to lie in. Inside, they found Saddam Hussein. He looked nothing like the man who once ruled Iraq with an iron grip. His beard was long and messy, his hair untrimmed, and his clothes worn. He appeared thin, tired, and aged far beyond his years. He had a pistol beside him, but made no attempt to fight. Instead, he was pulled out into the light, blinking after months in hiding. And the hunt was over. For many Iraqis, this was a moment they thought would never come. But capturing him was only the beginning. After the capture, he was kept under strict U.S. guard for more than 2 years. He was moved between secure locations, always watched, and never told exactly where he'd be next. The Americans knew that if his supporters found out, they would try to free him. Finally, on October 19, 2005, the trial began in Baghdad. The court could not handle all of the crimes Saddam was accused of. There were too many killings, massacres, and acts of torture to fit into one case. Instead, the judges decided to focus on one event that had strong evidence and many living witnesses, which was the Dujail massacre of 1982. The story of Dujail began on a hot day in July 1982. Saddam Hussein's convoy was moving along the main road, passing through a quiet farming town about 50 miles north of Baghdad. Dujail was home to many Shia Muslims, a community Saddam's Sunni-led regime often viewed with suspicion, and especially during the Iran-Iraq War, when Shia resistance groups were accused of secretly supporting Iran. That day, members of an underground Shia group decided to strike. As Saddam's motorcade approached, gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the air, forcing his bodyguards to shield him. Saddam was not injured, not even scratched, but in his mind, this was an act that could not go unpunished. His response was swift and merciless. Within hours, security forces swept through Dujail. Homes were raided without warning. Men, women, and children, some barely old enough to walk, were dragged out into the streets. Families were separated, mothers cried out as their sons were taken away, not knowing if they'd ever see them again. Those arrested were thrown into overcrowded prisons where they faced brutal interrogation. Beatings, electric shocks, and starvation used to break them. Months later, the regime staged quick, one-sided trials. There were no lawyers, no real defense, and no hope. The verdicts were already decided. 148 men and boys, some just teenagers, were condemned to death. They were executed and buried in unmarked graves. But Saddam's revenge didn't end there. Dujail's lifeline, its farmland and orchards, was deliberately destroyed. For a farming town, this was more than punishment. It was a slow death. Families were left with no food, no income, and no future. The attack that had lasted mere minutes had now condemned an entire town to years of suffering. Saddam's trial itself was tense and dangerous. It was held in Baghdad inside a heavily guarded courtroom.
including the context of mystery. There were investigations by NCR, Growth and Scientists, with hope for their release and eventually obtaining the recordings. What they uncovered shocked everyone. The tapes contained something almost familiar in the world had ever heard. 4 authentic audio recordings of executions carried out in Japan between 1987 and 1990. Up until then, no such record were known to exist in the States, aside from 19 execution reports in Georgia, which were no longer available. The building was Howard County Oliver, and now deceased formerly in Puerto Rico's Department of Corrections. To this day, it remains a mystery how he came into possession of the official materials, or why he secretly chose to donate to the Library of Virginia. What makes it even more puzzling is that Oliver had already left his last will for Richard before any of the recorded executions took place. In this way, we listen to one of those items. The 1989 execution of Walter Williams, who was found destructive and was extensively recorded, so that it was strictly for documentary purposes, without sensationalism or reward. Also known as convicted of the assault and brutal murder of 61-year-old widow, Laverne B. Marshall, in her rural Williamsburg County home. He spent 11 years on death row, longer than any other Virginia inmate at the time, before being executed in the electric chair on August 3rd, 1911, at the age of 24. The audio is presented exactly as it was recorded. The only changes made were removing sound quality and removing excessive silence. But the original content remains untouched. Adding additional notes, it is believed that one of the voices currently recorded belongs to Jerry Johnson Davis, Virginia's chief executioner between 1982 and 1999, who years later became a vocal opponent of the death penalty. Without further introduction, let's listen to the recording.
kind of after the same prayer. Yeah, you're gonna kind of come to that. I can smell 40 hours of deep. Any place or property that key place or proposition warning my eye, keep them safe and clean place. Okay. Okay. We hear a few protesters in the background. I just heard, first time I heard about it. Them groups turn on and off for about 15 minutes. It's just full of information. The last thing that's best I have, Mr. Law, is I would express what is about to take place here is a murder. I forgive anyone involved, and I love everyone involved. That's the best that I can relate to what you told me is what you said. That's it about that. I don't think anyone, I forgive everyone involved. I think that's what some people look at me without even. I don't think everyone. Yeah, we're still here. Still here. Okay.
millimeter leaks, but in a neuropsychological evaluation, really what they're really looking at is, does the person have competency? Meaning, are they aware of what is even going on? What is their risk? And that's the big question here. What is their risk of flight? What is their risk to self or others if they're released? This neuropsych eval too, Julie, will look at their developmental maturity, right? So even if she's like 17 or so, how developmentally mature is she? And then finally, they're going to look at what's called her psychiatric or neurodiagnosis. Now, based on all of this, Julie, and I know this is a lot, her current mental state, any substance use involved, her insight, meaning, does she really even know what potentially happened here? What is her insight and explanation into this? What is her emotional regulation? What are potential antisocial traits? Is there the history of trauma or abuse? So these are all the things that they're going to look at before they actually decide, hey, is she safe to go back into the community and tell her trial?
Wow. And Dr. Dom, I want to come to one of your lectures. This is so interesting. We're hanging on to every word here. We have a clip we want you to take a look at, please. So this is one of many of Sarah Grace's TikToks. She liked TikToking, and apparently she was reaching out to some true crime influencers, telling them about the case. This is before she was arrested, when she perhaps wasn't even viewed as a suspect. Who knows? Police were pretty quiet. Let's take a look.
wants to remind you, taxes are due soon. Let's get them over with. Grab purpose-packed ingredients for when life gives you a ledge, a swell, a path, a peak. Benefit-stacked, action-packed wellness shots. 5 Organic. Give it a shot.
Breaking. According to GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, an Israeli strike kills little Amir.
This young little boy, his name is Amir.
Amir was shot by Israeli forces with machine guns while leaving the aid site alongside other civilians.
Breaking. According to GHF, 4 months later, Amir found alive and safe with his mother. Fake images are a weapon. Don't let anyone play with your mind. Check before you share. Question, verify, think.
Dr. Dom, tell us what you're thinking as you're watching that, please.
Yeah, so of course, just like anybody, you don't have to be a board-certified psychiatrist to find that challenging to watch. Now, there are a few things to think about here. There is the reality that that generation, her generation, used social media as an outlet. Okay, so let's put that on the table. However, there's a very significant concern here with her ability to cope with challenges. If her parents were murdered, if her parents are deceased and she's grieving, was it quote unquote appropriate? Was it normal to go online and present that way? And that's the big question. And when you do a neuropsychological evaluation, again, developmental maturity, where does she stand? Is that congruent with what she did? Because if she's not very emotionally developed, then maybe she would do something like that, go online and let the world know what's happening and be dramatic and crying. But if she's coming across as somebody that has an intellectual, if her IQ is significant, if her emotional maturity is within normal limits, then now that's almost a behavior that shows that there's a dramatic flair, there's something else, there's another motive for doing that. And that's where it becomes questionable and really challenging. So I think the neuropsychological evaluation is really what goes in.
Oh, definitely. Wow. Dr. Dom, one last quick question for you, please. There's another child in the family, as you know. Sarah Grace Patrick has a younger sister who found her mom and dad on that dreadful day, shot to death in the home. The sister's considerably younger, and The concern I keep thinking about, I'm wondering if this is valid from a psychiatry standpoint, is if she's given a bond and allowed back in whatever home that child is perhaps being taken care of in, is she going to be problematic for that younger sister's development?
Yeah, the answer there, Julie, is what was the relationship like prior? Were they close? Were they supportive? Did they get along well? And what is their relationship like now? And how does that little girl view her bigger sister? So a lot of questions there. But on the other point, it could be a very traumatic experience having her sister come home if that young child views her sister as somebody potentially dangerous or just not well.
Wow. Dr. Don Sportelli, always excellent insight from you. Thank you for making time to see us this morning. We know you have a very busy schedule. And friends at home, do yourself a favor. If you're not already following him, follow Dr. Sportelli on Instagram. Loving all the videos you've been doing. They're really, really insightful and helpful, certainly in so many of the cases we come across. We'll see you soon, Doc.
Seniors on Medicaid. You may qualify for up to $3,200 in extra benefits to help pay for groceries, gas, prescriptions, and other essentials. This is not a loan and costs nothing to check. Eligibility depends on your health plan, and many seniors don't realize these benefits exist. Availability is limited, and enrollment periods can change. To see if you qualify, call the number on your screen. Answer 3 quick questions, and it takes less than a minute. If eligible, benefits are sent directly to your home. Call now to check your eligibility.
Coming home to a Goose Creek plug-in is sensational. Bold, artisanal fragrances or indulgent moments of self-care, scored by rich